Hey there folks, Scottsdale Travel Chick's sidekick here once again to tell you about our trip to Washington, D.C. We had a great trip, but we went during COVID time, so many of the normal things one would do were closed. So we improvised. Since we like bike riding, we decided to do some in-depth seat-of-the-pants research on 4 of the best bike rides you can do in the D.C. area. We'll cover them for you here in this video. One you might expect, but the other 3 just might surprise you. They are the Washington Mall and White House, the Capitol Crescent Trail, our ride out to Old Town Alexandria, and the Anacostia River Loop Trail. First up, the Washington Mall and White House ride. What list wouldn't be complete without a bike ride around the core of DC's government and national monuments? You can easily rent bikes from any DC bike share kiosk and be on your way. This ride is about 6 miles, but can go a little bit longer depending on what detours you'd like to take along the way, and there are many. Let's get started. The U.S. Capitol and Supreme Court, and the Library of Congress. Our recommendation is to start at the far east side of the mall, where you can visit the U.S. Capitol, the Supreme Court, and also the Library of Congress. All right, babe, where are we at?
We are just behind the U.S. Capitol.
What's behind you over there?
That's the Supreme Court.
Nope.
No, what is it?
It's the Library of Congress.
Oh, that's right, Library of Congress.
Further down is the Supreme Court. We're going to ride over to the Capitol. Maybe we'll talk to our representatives. Huh?
I don't think so.
No?
I think they're here.
You think they're here? Maybe too cold for them, huh?
Too cold.
Okay, let's go. All right, we're coming up to the Capitol. Did you know that Thomas Jefferson held a competition for the design of the Capitol building, and the prize was $500? Wow. Did you also know that the Capitol has its own private subway system and can only be used by congressmen and their staff? And there's a crypt in the basement that was originally designed to bury George Washington. By the way, we did this whole loop again at night, and things were even more beautiful. Now the Supreme Court, right across the street. Interesting fact, the Supreme Court was originally housed inside the Capitol building and didn't actually receive its own dedicated building until 1935. As you leave the Capitol and head west, you'll enter the National Mall. This is basically a large park area in the center of DC, which is surrounded by a multitude of Smithsonian museums and national monuments. It's hard to get lost, as you'll see lots of signs like these telling you where you're at and what's around. Okay, now we're riding down the mall from the Capitol past all the Smithsonian museums. This is the Indian Museum, American Indian. Next one is the Air and Space, I think. This mall is 2 miles long between Capitol and the Washington Memorial or the obelisk. And then you go down to the Lincoln Memorial, and then further down here on the right is the White House. And here we are coming down the middle of the mall. There's the Air and Space again. You can see they got some construction going on. And again, heading towards the Washington Monument, which some people call the obelisk, which is straight ahead there. So, taking a little break, Scottsdale Travel Chick, and then, you know, you gotta get a little snack. Choose your poison: hot dogs, cheeseburgers, nachos, soft pretzels, you name it. We're gonna try a couple of ice cream cones. Mall has a little bit of everything, baby, even nature. Yes. Up close and personal. Get to feed all the little birdies. right, I think I'm going to be able to get them to eat out of my hand. All right, now we're going by the very original old Smithsonian building. There's many Smithsonian museums, but this is kind of like the headquarters of the Smithsonian. Another Smithsonian. I think this is the one that we went in yesterday or day before. This is the Art and Portrait Museum, I believe. Okay, we're further down, and just a note on transit, there's a subway stop right on the mall. So you can get out, take the subway from almost anywhere, Maryland, Virginia area, all the way straight into here, and then come up right on the mall. Now we're coming down to the west side, and more food trucks on this side as well. You can see them all lined up. Whatever you want that's bad for you. Ice cream, pizzas, fried chicken, fried bread, you name it. And then over here to the right, this new brownish building is one of the newest Smithsonian's. I think it's the African American Museum, but behind there is the kind of ellipse park, and then the White House. That's where we're going to try to go, over that way. All these food trucks. All these food trucks. All the way up. Now we are here at the Washington Monument and headed over towards the Ellipse Park and the White House. Interesting fact, did you know that the Washington Monument was the world's tallest building until 1889, and that 50 U.S. flags are flown around the base of the building at all times, 24 hours a day? Okay, here we are. All right, we're at the Washington Monument, but we're going to the Ellipse, and then down there is the White House, but of course you can't see much. So the white building you see over on the left is the executive or administrative building for the White House. There you can see the White House a little bit. You can see in the distance here that they've put up a white fence now, so you can't get too close to the White House. Not sure why, maybe protesters. I guess it's true, Trump finally did build a wall just around the White House. I did get at least one decent picture, as you see here, and we also got to see the White House Christmas tree, but in the daytime. That was about it, though. Riding further to the west, you come to the reflecting pool and a number of monuments. The Lincoln Memorial, the World War II Memorial, and the Vietnam Memorial being the bigger ones. True to its name, by the way, the reflecting pool provides some pretty cool reflection pictures. Like the Capitol, we also visited at night, and it was really cool then as well. Next up, the Capitol Crescent Trail. The Capitol Crescent Trail is a pretty awesome rails-to-trail project right through the busy suburbs of DC. Almost 1 million people use this trail every year, but if you're a tourist, you've probably never heard of it. The trail follows an abandoned right-of-way of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, as well as the C&O Canal. The railroad line originally opened in 1910 and was last used in 1985. Back in its early days, it hauled coal into D.C. that was used to heat the White House and other government buildings. Our recommendation is to take the D.C. Metro out to Bethesda, Maryland, and start there. From Bethesda, it's about a 7-mile or 40-minute ride back into Georgetown and D.C. You'll see some nice scenery along the way, pass over a couple of bridges and through a cool 340-foot tunnel, and it will be gradually downhill all the way. Where are we going?
I just think we're going upstairs. We're going to go to Bethesda to do some bike riding.
All right, folks, I'm with the Scottsdale Travel Chick. We're in Bethesda.
Yes, we took a train.
I've got her out on these e-bikes
Awesome e-bikes.
that we can rent. And we're going to do the Capitol Crescent Trail. It starts in Silver Spring, but actually the paved part starts here in Bethesda. Goes downhill all the way to Georgetown on the river. And you could keep going there down through the Capitol and some of the monuments down back to our hotel. And that's what we're going to do today. It's about 11 miles.
Yes.
And right now, the Scottsdale Travel Chick's smiling, but see how she
We're on electric bikes, so
how she
life
feels
is
at the end
good.
of the day.
It'll be awesome.
All right, everybody, here we go.
Hello.
There's a couple of tunnels on this trail. This used to be an old railroad grade, and this used to bring the coal down to heat the White House and other government buildings back in the day. It also brought down a lot of the granite for some of the monuments. And Rock Creek is actually off to the left for a few places along this, and these were actually, when the train came through, people could hide there as the train went by and not have the train get them. So that was back in the day, and the trains used this. And Rock Creek Park was off to the left, and there were a number of mills and things like that along this railroad grade back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. I think this was in use till 1970 something, if I remember correctly. So there's some little signs like this every half mile to tell you how far you're at. Some parts of the trail you go right by along the freeway, but you don't really notice it. It's down over there. We're going over the canal. We go along the C&O Canal. You can walk up by on the canal path, or this is down along the other side. In the distance there, you can see some buildings, downtown DC. Some cranes. We're headed towards Georgetown as our second stop. From now we're riding along the Potomac at 9.5 miles. The canal path is still up to our left. Getting close to Georgetown at this point, maybe 2 miles, but still looks very rural. Okay, now we finally start coming into some sort of civilization in Georgetown area. The first houses and stuff you see along the trail. Relatively remote for being so close to DC until now. When you come into Georgetown, you come in under the freeway and this overpass. A lot of parking. As you keep riding past Georgetown into DC, you'll come right back into the back of the Lincoln Memorial. Riding up to the Lincoln Memorial. Scottsdale Travel Chick. And then to the left, all the way down, is the mall. And this is basically the end now. You can return your bike at any of the kiosks nearby and head back to wherever it is you want to get back to at the end of the day. Next up, a ride into Old Town Alexandria. From the National Mall to Old Town Alexandria, Virginia is another 7-mile or 40-minute ride. The first part is actually a little yucky as you have to ride along a busy highway, but that is only for about the first 5 to 10 minutes. One of the most interesting parts of this ride is Gravelly Point, where you can actually watch incoming planes into Reagan National Airport fly directly over the top of your head. It's pretty cool. Once you get into Old Town Alexandria, there's a nice main street to explore and tons of colonial-era townhomes to check out. Plus, you're on the river, and you can take a water taxi all the way back into DC if you'd like.
So it took us about 10 blocks to actually find 2 e-bikes, and now we're on the trail.
All right.
Now we're doing good.
Where are we going?
What? I can't think. Alexandria. That's where we're headed. This way.
Okay. All right, here we go. Over one of the busiest bridges in DC. After this, it should get better, I hope. Okay, now we're on the Mount Vernon Trail, and we're going along the Potomac. And the next up is Gravelly Point. I think it's pronounced Gravelly, and that's where planes coming into Reagan National Airport come right over your head. So we're going to check that out next. All right, there's a plane coming in. It's right there. Plane coming our way. It's going to come over. Now we're going along the parkway, past the airport is on our left, and we're in Virginia, going towards Old Town Alexandria. Boardwalk here in a swampy area. There's a lot to explore once you make it to historic Alexandria, and it's worth a half day walking around, checking out some of the townhouses and the shops, and maybe grabbing a bite to eat. Unfortunately, we didn't take many pictures ourselves, so there's some stock pictures here. But we did take one of the Scottsdale Travel Chick and a big Christmas tree. Okay, last up, the Anacostia River Loop Trail. This is for sure a lesser known trail on the east side of Metro DC, but it has quite an extensive trail system and it's worth exploring. From the harborfront area in downtown DC, you can take a nice loop trail out by the Navy Yard and along the Anacostia River, out to JFK Fields, and then back through Anacostia Park on the other side of the river. The entire loop trail is about 10 miles and will take you about 1 to 1.5 hours. Again, you can rent a Capital Bike Share bike from a kiosk anywhere along the way and simply return it when you're done. Interesting facts about the Anacostia. It is often called the Forgotten River in DC because it is a lot less well known compared to the Potomac. It's also very short at only 8.5 miles long and was named for Native American Indians who once lived in the area. Anacostia Trail now, right along the river there. And it goes by the ballpark, and then it heads down to the river, which you can see out by this silver thinged thing right here. Let's see where that goes. So we just came from the other stadium, and now we're on the Anacostia Trail, which is this first part of it is a boardwalk along the water here. It's pretty nice. Going by a harbor or two. I guess these are the old Navy Yards. So we're still on the west side of the trail, going up over this bridge thingy, and then that's the east side, which we're gonna cross over and come back to. Looks a little nicer over there. We actually had some great video of the new JFK fields, but it was so windy this day, I can't really play it. But at any rate, this is where we're at, crossing over the river, heading back the other way.
We're crossing over from the west side. Gonna take this nicer trail on the east side. Now we're on the east bank, going through the woods and up over the bridges. Anacostia Park is in 3/10 of a mile. Historic Anacostia is down here. We're thinking we might take a little break, get a quick snack, and get back on the bikes. Comes up more, another bridge. Oh, it's going over the train tracks. That's what it's doing. A lot of train tracks that come in and out of DC right here. Right, now we're down the other side. Coming into Anacostia Park.
We actually finished this ride back at the harbor front, where there's a well-known seafood dock where you can pick out what you like and they'll cook it up right there for you. Check it out if you're a foodie person. Well, there you have it. 4 great bike rides you can do in the DC area. We hope you enjoyed our video on them. Until next time, see you later.